John Schweizer, I'm here.
Bob Anderson, I'm here.
Ruth Gonzalez, here.
Don Munson here.
Oh, there's Gail. She just looks like she just came on.
Just came on.
Hi, Gail.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
No worries, no worries. We're just getting started. We've been having a nice conversation. Okay, so there you are. Okay, the roll's been called. Don, you want to move on down with the agenda?
Approval of the minutes for October 13th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 13th.
I've read them and I second the motion.
I have a vote.
Aye.
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 Carries.
Aye.
Do we have anybody speaking for the public tonight?
Don, we're going to have Dwayne talk when we get into the informational items.
Okay. So then we're new business. Attachment A.
Yes, attachment A on the commission agenda, Bill. This is the fee resolution. Each year we're required to go before the commission and provide our rates, fees, and charges. Included in your packets a resolution for changing the fees and charges at the airport this year. Customers that are part of the appraisal will be raised by whatever the appraisal says for this year. It's generally about 1 cent for all the various types of properties per square foot. And then CPI or consumer price index for the other buildings that we own, like Ellie's or Sky Arrow and Wild Blue and those kind of things. So in your packet, there's there's a copy of, well, there's a copy of the resolution, also a copy of the 2020 fees and a red line version of what those changes are, I believe. And yeah, I think I saw that in here. Yep, there it is. And so I'm happy to answer any questions about those. At the last meeting, I did talk about our city-owned hangars and not raising them by CPI. We have raised them the last several years because they were a little on the low side. Now they're pretty close to what our private hangars are. And because of COVID, and it's been a hard year economically, staff recommends not raising the city hangars, but our city-owned buildings that are businesses.
Well, Dave, I think our fee resolution this year is extremely modest, and I think that's going to be appreciated by everybody. So if you need a motion.
If there's no more discussion, I'd like a motion, please.
I move. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
I move to approve the fee resolution for the 2021 price adjustment pending final review by the city attorney.
And I'll second.
In favor, say aye.
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 Approved. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item B, which is a lease extension for Russ Keyes, Moss Bay Aviation. Russ is here, and he can answer any questions you may have on this. As I said, he's the owner of Moss Bay Aviation. He's been a tenant at Arlington for almost 30 years. He owns 3 rows of hangars here at the airport. He's requesting a 20-year lease extension for those buildings in exchange for approximately $366,000 in upgrades, namely doors for all of those hangars. There's currently 29 years remaining on the lease. Russ is moving into retirement. This will be an income source for his children and eventually probably go into their name. Let's see. There is his proposal as part of the package. If the commissioners have had a chance to look through that, there's also a quote and what those hangar doors will cost, along with some exhibits, some pictures of what they will look like. Staff felt that 20 years was a little bit long considering how many years were still remaining on the lease. But we'll leave it up to the commissioners. We think 10 to 15 years is a more appropriate number, but that is a commissioner decision, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Russ would be too.
I was thinking somewhere between 12 and 15.
Can you all excuse me for a second? The dogs are going crazy because I think Mama's home. I'm going to mute myself real quick.
You're awful quiet there, John.
Sorry about that. Yes, she is home and they're happy to see her. So, like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm sure Russ would be happy to do so as well.
Are we still having to deal with maximum lease times as far as number of years?
Can you say that again, Ruth? I didn't quite catch it.
The FAA had limited us to the length of time for a lease. Are we still dealing with that? And what's that number?
We are. It's 50 years. And
You went out just as you said the number.
yeah, so it is 50 years. This
50.
is, of course, less than that. Nope. Did that answer your question?
What is the remaining time left on the existing lease?
29 years.
And is that the original lease or has it already been renewed once?
No, that's the original lease.
So what was the original lease then for 50 years?
Now, Russ, do you recall how long that was? I was thinking it was 30 or 40 for some reason. I don't have it right in front of me.
No, the original was 50 years. That's when we redid the whole property lines and all that.
Okay.
And if I understand correctly, so there's 29 years left running on that lease.
Correct.
Thank you.
You know, it's my thinking, Dave, in reading the agenda item and the exhibits and all that. Obviously, Russ has been a stellar tenant for his entire term. We don't see a lot of those. I think that I would be very comfortable in dealing with another 20. 15 is a minimum, but 20 would be good. Because I think that if you've got a good tenant that is taking care of the airport, then we need to try to make sure that his situation continues in good faith. So I'm all for a 20-year lease at least.
So is
That would,
can the accumulated be more than 50 years?
it's supposed to be 50 years max unless you, another entity takes it over, say another LLC or something like that. It can go longer. I mean, you can just start another new lease at the point that lease expires.
I think we should also give consideration to the fact that he is upgrading the doors with hydraulics, as I read the proposal. That is going to ensure that the hangars continue to look good over years.
Yep.
We need to give some consideration to that.
I agree.
If I could correct that, actually, we're not doing hydraulic doors. We're doing sliding doors. The hydraulic doors, because of the wood frame and the need for new electrical and all that, would be substantially higher than what this bypass doors are. Structurally, the bypass doors are steel. The appearance would be the same as they were with a hydraulic door. And if I may, the reason for the 20-year request was I've got to amortize this, and as much as I like to keep the hangars up and everything, since it does amortize over a 20-year period a lot better than it does over a 10 or a 15.
Okay, I was in error then in talking about the hydraulics. I thought I read that. I must have read it wrong.
Actually, you were correct. I did show a hydraulic door as the first door there, so it was part of the presentation.
Okay, what is the cost of the sliding doors?
The sliding doors are the number that I had given you, the 366. The hydraulic doors would be north of 20,000 a piece, substantially more.
Okay, well, that's still a substantial amount of money for new doors.
Mr. Keys, what is your timeline for upgrading the doors, assuming the lease is approved?
I would be comfortable with not extending the lease until the doors were completed. My intention is to have them done next year. They shouldn't take too long. I've actually built a lot of hangars around. I developed all the condo hangars at Payne Field over a number of years there and have built them at other airports and stuff. So I'm pretty familiar with how to do all that kind of stuff.
Well, I would be comfortable with 20 years, 15 being a minimum also. I agree with John.
I'm fine with either the 15 or 20. I just want to make sure that it's done so that the accumulative is being over 50 doesn't get us into violation with the FAA requirements. So if we need to adjust something to make that work, can we do that, or do we need to do that?
I wouldn't go over 50 anyway. It's 29 now, and add 22. We're 1 year shy of the 50.
But he's
Yeah.
already had it for 21, so that the cumulative is over 50. That's what I'm concerned about, because the FAA, from what Dave just said, that you're supposed to do 50 and then not renew it. So the cumulative, if everything went through, would be over 50. Do we need to do anything or change a name or do something to make sure that we're still in compliance with that 50-year requirement?
That's a good point, Ruth. In the recommended motion, it says that a lease amendment will be approved when the project is completed and documented. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is how we could word that motion is to say not to exceed 50 years under this company name or something to that effect. As I said, this will be being passed to his children. And jump in here, Russ, if you want to. If that's something that we could put in the lease to say the corporate entity will change ownership when this project is completed or something along those lines, I'm happy to do that. But Ruth does have a valid point. If
it's possible, I would like to extend that out to the point at which the kids get it, because changing it as it does existing, if I change it to another entity, it potentially has a problem for me tax wise.
So what we could do, as Ruth said, you already had 21 and there's 29 remaining. So that's our 50 year. What we could do is say something in the lease amendment or the lease extension to say something along the lines of that this entity will change by whatever that date is.
And
so
why
that
don't we use 20 years instead of 21, and that way it'll be done ahead of time.
Okay, I lost you somewhere there.
20 years, add 20 years to where we are now. In 20, no, that's not right.
That doesn't work.
Yeah,
No.
no, you're right. Excuse me.
It would
So-
basically, you need to be in 28 or 29 years, you would need to make that change.
Okay, whatever
That
that.
would that would finish out your
That would be acceptable to me.
current lease.
Okay. Well, as I said, this would not be approved until the project's been completed and documented. So that gives us a little bit of time to work on it. And what we can put a condition in the lease. I'm making a note real quick. Condition in the lease to say at 29 years, that's the end of basically, and not to be rude, Russ, or anything. I don't think you or I are going to be around in 29 years.
Well, I know
So-
that's why it was agreeable.
Yeah.
I'll have done something about it before then.
So I will get with the city attorney and figure out how to word that properly so we're not going over the FAA maximum. And we will make that a condition to the lease. And like I said, we've got some time. You're not, you don't think that's going to be completed for a year or so. So we don't have to do any kind of documentation right now other than approve the concept of doing this.
Great.
I'm sorry to bring that up. I just don't want anybody
Oh,
to
you're
have
right.
any problem in the
Good
future.
point. Good point.
Well, it is a good point.
I would be happy to make a motion. I'm not exactly sure how to word this.
You could just, the motion could be the same as it is written, and I just left it blank because I didn't know what the commission's response would be. So if the commission is in agreement on 20 years, just put 20 in that blank, and we will keep this on file as such and have the attorney make those changes as a condition to the lease.
Very well. Then I like to, yeah,
Excuse me. Can we put in there up to and not exceeding 20? That way we can adjust it however without having to come back and redo it.
I wouldn't do it that way because we will be changing it when they are completed. So we're going to have to change it anyway once that project is completed, and we can just say 20 years. Or you could say up to. Now, I think we should keep it a firm number in second thought. So
that sounds good.
Okay, go ahead, John. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Well, I'll make a motion to approve an additional 20-year lease with Moss Bay Aviation. A lease amendment will be approved when this project has been completed and documented.
I have a second.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you all. And when we get to that point, we will have to bring it, once those are completed, we will bring it back to the commission with that lease condition as we discussed.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, item C is lease with the city of Arlington. This is the new fire station 48. It's on Airport Boulevard. They're requesting a lease from the airport for 90,234.9 square feet for the new fire station. The building itself is 11,422 square feet, and the remainder of the lease property is for parking, utilities, and a service area. This lease will generate about $32,500 a year. The city is requesting a 12-month grace period for construction, and the lease payments won't be due until this period expires or the building is occupied. There are ongoing negotiations, as Jen and Michelle know, with the Rural Fire Administration or Association?
It's North County.
Okay. But to create an RFA.
Yes.
And if that happens, that lease will probably go to, will be under the RFA, and we will have to modify this. They may ask for less time than the 75 years, whatever the various jurisdictions decide on, but 75 years is the maximum. And I have included some the lease, the general terms and conditions, and as well as a couple of, as well as a location map. And is everybody pretty clear where that is going to be located?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that one.
Heard anything on the monies that the airport gives to the fire department, whether or not if they go with North County that it would leave the city?
That's a good question, and that is something that will be negotiated at the time that when and if that happens. Probably Jan or Michelle would be able to answer that better than I can.
Well, everything that's covered right now by the fire department with the city will still be covered, but instead of paying the city, you'll be paying North County Regional Fire Authority.
Yes, but the FAA does not allow us to spend some money on certain things. And if it's leaving the city, that was my question.
Okay, it's not really leaving the city. We are going to annex into North County, and our fire services will remain here in Arlington. Everything will be the same. Only all of the money will be going to North County to support our fire here in the city.
That's
Does
still-
that make sense?
No, no, because FAA has a say-so on what specific things that monies from the airport can go to. And if you're saying it's going to go to North County, that's outside our jurisdiction.
Well-
Go ahead.
Well, maybe Paul can clear that up a little bit more, but the fire service will still be provided and the expense will still be there.
I'm not questioning that at all. I'm just questioning the money that the airport pays.
I have discussed this with Paul. That is something that will have to be negotiated at the time when and if it happens. I think what Don is getting at is the airport's portion of what we pay into the city's general fund for a fire service, just like we do for police or ambulance or whatever. As when and if that becomes part of the RFA, at that point, that's where we'll figure out how to break out those various costs and what the airport's share will be. We won't know until then.
So that's interesting. You can pay the city, but was it Don that, but it prohibits you from sending money to county at all?
Well, we have an agreement with the FAA, and it's based on like the number of calls, or for police, kind of a windshield survey, how many times a day or a week or a month they go by the airport, and what we pay the city's general fund, excuse me, is based on that. So, since the agreement with the FAA is with the city of Arlington, we're probably going to have to bring this back to the FAA and have them, approve a new agreement with the RFA.
Because Jan, I remember us talking about like service would still be provided, but I don't think funds or funding ever came up on it, or how payment would be made,
Well, no, and Dave's right. I'm sure that they will have to renegotiate, but they will still need fire service.
Yeah.
And the money that the airport's paying actually goes into the fire department's funds. It doesn't go into, quote, general funds.
Yeah.
So they can negotiate with North County and come up with whatever. And I'm sure the FAA wants to make sure that they've got fire coverage.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, we're looking at putting a gate right across from there, so they'll have really quick access to the airport.
Yes.
And so that's great. It's just, we will have to make a new agreement with the FAA to say, okay, this is what our share of fire is going to be. Do you agree with that? And can we move forward? But that's not going to happen until when and if this agreement is reached. So there's no way to know right now. It certainly won't be any more than we pay now, and could be less.
So it goes for a vote in February. So then I guess after that, you can either start worrying about it or not.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So I have a question. and it just may be that I'm reading it differently, but the one sentence that says the city is requesting a 12-month grace period for construction and the lease payments won't be due until this period expires or the building is occupied. So I want to make sure that it's whichever is shorter, because the building being occupied could potentially take more than 12 months. And so I want to make sure it's worded. So
Yeah,
that
it
there's no
should,
loop.
that's how it should have been worded, Ruth. 12 month, and in fact, I believe the lease says that. I should have included that on the description. Let me look at the lease real quick. Let's see. First rental period, 0 grace period for construction, provided, however, if the lessee obtains occupancy prior to December 1st, 2021, then lessee shall pay prorated rent and leasehold tax at the same time as calculated below. So it is in the lease.
Great. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a motion on that, please.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the new lease with the city of Arlington for the property to be known as Fire Station 48.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, so we're at the council liaison update stage of our meeting.
Well, you got part of it with the RFA, and like Michelle said, that will go before the voters in February. The one other small thing I wanted to mention is to give you a visual. The distribution plant that is going to be built on National Foods property across from the athletic club is going to be 3 million square feet and 5 stories high. Just thought when you drive down 172nd, you can visualize that.
What kind of distribution center?
You know, I don't know. I know that it's a distribution center. They're putting stuff in for like spaces for 300 of the semi trailers and things like that. So I don't know at this point what they're
I
going
had
to be
copies
distributing.
this morning, bid on the job, and it was for Amazon.
Okay, so distribution of materials coming and going, and okay.
So where did you hear it was Amazon?
From the guy that bid on the job, he's done 4 of them for Amazon already, and just bid on this one.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that. I knew Amazon had one of the buildings on 188th, but I didn't realize that the
For the
distribution
space.
center.
One
Pardon?
on 188th for the space industry.
Yeah, and this one is for distribution. Okay.
That was actually one of our topics on the information section, and that is there will be a public hearing, I think, or a public comment period, I should say, in the next couple of weeks, because of that building being so high. They're talking about 100 feet. And because that building being so high and being on the kind of base to final leg for runway 1634, it is underneath all of the Part 77 objects affecting navigable airspace. It's underneath all those. It will not affect the approaches or the minimums to the runway in a negative way. But there will be a public comment period for anyone who has a kind of a problem with that to weigh in. And I think CED will be making that public here as soon as they've scheduled a time for that.
Hey, Jan, I've got a quick question. Where's that located again? On 51st and 172nd?
No, it's National Foods, where across from the athletic club.
It's
Big
west
dump
of
where they had
50.
corn.
Yeah, it's south. West
Of all the corn was grown.
Yeah.
Right by
Cornfields now.
Walmart. That corn-
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Thanks, Don.
Okay, anything else, Jan or Michelle?
You know, something that was brought up from a meeting at our health district, and I'm sure you all know this, was just the number of COVID cases in Snohomish County and how they're the highest we've ever seen them. And just, caution around that. And I believe, if I remember right, though, the hospitalizations have been flat. And just the new cases have, I want to say was it 180 something, which was extremely high since we were below 30 at one point for every 100,000. So that information was brought up, and I think it's something everybody should know about.
Definitely, thank you. Anything else from the council?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we're to more informational items. Marty, could you bring us up to speed on our construction and what's going on?
Yeah. Currently, we're in overnight mode with the construction. We have runway closures tonight through Thursday, and then Friday morning at 9 a.m. we'll get runway 1634 back. No lighting, but we'll have the operational use of both runways at that point. We're ahead of schedule. We're opening runway 1634 at least a week ahead of schedule. Budget's good. The work looks great. The painting, first coat painting is done. Bravo has been mill and overlaid. We've done some pavement removal at the intersection of 134 and 29 that we had some ponding issues, and it looks to have cleared that up. Everything's going really well. We have a really good contractor. The engineering team that we have has done an exceptional job, and it's going swimmingly. I'm always reluctant to say that because that's usually when it goes to heck. But so far we're in really good shape. We expect to be there. They've been very helpful. We've modified a couple things on the electrical part of it. We have an additional space, and we're going to be able to be pretty self-sufficient. With our electrical room, we're going to add to it and keep some equipment we were going to get rid of. We've decided to go ahead and keep it. That'll give us some backup possibilities, being as Arlington Airport could be ground zero for Cascadia Rising or any other number of things. And this will give us an option to have different ways to light the field in the case of an outage, transformer and or generator failure. So that's what's going on with that. And just kind of moving forward a little bit, we had an incident the 27th of October. Somebody took out one of our PAPIs while operating on runway 11 grass, destroyed the box, and we've conducted an investigation, and we're working towards trying to find out who that might have been, so we can get some help in that. It's going to be a pretty sizable chunk of money to fix it, probably in the realm of about $12,000 or so. My computer's going nuts here. There we go. To have that replaced, but we're pretty confident we'll be able to maybe figure out what happened. That's about all I got. Any questions?
Okay, I would like to say that Marty, Lorena, and Monroe have done an outstanding job on this project. I've had very, very little to do with it, and it is going very well. So we're very pleased with the work that's happening out there. Our last informational item is on Northwest Custom Hangars Lot 404A. I've had some of the commissioners ask me about what's happening with that, about progress on it. Dwayne Wilcoxon is here with us. I will say I know they've got their drainage completed now, the roof drainage and underground drainage. They were grading driveways, and they are in the process of building doors for that hangar complex. And I've seen a couple of the doors over there that they've constructed. And I just wanted to have this as an informational item because, a couple of the commissioners have asked, where are we on that? So I'm happy to answer any questions, and Dwayne's here and he can answer questions as well.
We have a target date for being up and running, Dwayne?
Yeah, one of the issues that I'm having, am I on mute or am I live and talking?
We got you.
Oh, okay. I finally got through, this COVID thing really knocked me off my feet. We put in 110,000 square feet of drywall. So we got that all finished and that was a huge hurdle. All my hydraulics is in. We put 4 miles of hydraulics in. One of my hydraulic vendors has gone away. Actually, several of my vendors have gone away. A lot of my employees, the day before COVID, I had 14 guys. And now after COVID, I've got 6. And if you drive down any road that with any business, you're going to find they're looking for employees. And I'm having the same problem. I just can't get anybody. The employees that I had, they're not going to come back to work. They're getting unemployment and they're making more money off unemployment right now and doing side work than going to work for me. So I gave the airport and the city of Arlington kind of a time schedule, and we're right on that time schedule. We're putting doors together right now. It takes us about 3 days to do a door, and we're putting 2 to 3 doors out a week right now, and we're shipping them over right now. We're going to start installing them. All the hydraulics is in. We didn't put the pumps in because we don't want them to go away. They're very expensive. But we currently have everything that we need right now, and the things that we need to complete the job are either on hand or they will be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But right now, I'm fairly comfortable with the schedule. Everything just kind of went to a snail's pace, unfortunately. And if I could get more guys, and if you know anybody that is looking for a job, for God's sakes, please let me know. I'll take anybody with a pulse.
So what's your targeted date then?
End of December.
End of December? Thank you.
My concern now is with the COVID thing and what's going on with it. I'm really concerned that we're going to have the step up because of flu season, and that's really got me scared right now. I'm worried that Inslee might knock us back down to shutting us off. I don't know how you all feel about that, but that's a huge concern of mine. And that's one of the reasons we're bringing all the materials in and getting everything we possibly can here ready to go so we can get that thing as quick as I possibly can.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne.
Oh, you bet. Thanks, guys and gals.
Can I ask Jan another question, please?
Sure.
Is there any talk of doing any work on 51st for the Amazon? Are they going to do roads or just leave it skinny?
No, I know that there are some roads that are going to be put in. I know that there's one behind the building and everything. And with the big development, workforce housing that's south of National Foods, they are going to be widening that road. When exactly that will happen, I don't know. I don't know when they will start on that housing development. But I know that it is huge and that they will be widening 51st. It's all about money, Don.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were having to kick it up the building there or whether we were liable for it.
No, they will have to definitely. I know that they're putting in a road from 43rd to 51st behind the building that they're putting in. But how the rest of it works, a lot of it is mitigation fees, and they will be doing something because there'll be too many people going down that road.
Thanks.
It sure looks different here than it did 7.5 months ago when I left. I was quite surprised driving around how much has changed just in that short period of time.
You know, I was thinking about that today, not so much over there, but just driving on 59th today between 172nd and going north, how much better it looks. 59th was really shabby about 6 years ago when I first got here, with the Tri-B and several of the places along there that were just really rough. But with the new Coke and Coca-Cola Center and Dwayne's Building and Pearson Mill Works and Global Machine Works, it's really looks pretty nice along there now. And there have been a lot of changes.
Yep.
That's all we've got from airport staff, unless anybody has any other questions.
I hear a motion for adjourn.
Well, before we do that, well, first of all, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, taking note of the fact for the Marines among us that Mickey's big hand is on the 9 and his little hand is on the 8.
Really?
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Mickey Mouse says bye.
Happy
Thank
Veterans
you.
Day, guys.